Hello, everyone. My name is Andres Diaz. Me and my co-host Will are here today to talk about Captain America: The First Avenger, of course, directed by Joe Johnston, and starring, of course, our favorite Cap, Chris Evans, or our favorite Chris Evans. Um, Will, is Chris Evans your favorite, Chris?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Um, I feel like he's not most people's favorite Chris, but uh, I've been a
Cool.
fan of Chris Evans since 2009, I think. I saw him in, well, I guess I first saw him in Fantastic Four
Yeah.
back in whenever that was, the early 2000s. But there's this one like indie action movie called Push that I really liked when I was a
Oh,
teenager.
yes. Yep.
Yeah. Uh, so that was like when I first like really started liking Chris Evans. And then like a year later, he was cast as Captain America, and yeah,
Oh my God, that's so cool. Yeah. Same here. I like Chris. He's definitely my favorite Chris. Like second after Chris Pine. I like
oh,
him
you
as
like
well.
Chris Pine more?
Not more like I say
Okay.
like Chris Evans is number one,
Oh, and
and
then Chris Pine is second. I see.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, and
that's a good choice, I think.
yeah, yeah, I love Chris Evans. I think he's a terrific actor. I mean,
Mhm.
he's like good at comedy, drama, and just I mean every department of that. I mean,
Mhm.
he's great as the Human Torch. I think he's like the definitive version of the Human Torch. Um, in my,
Definitely, like, at least so far. Yeah.
yeah, at least so far, yeah. Um, but I will. I guess we're kind of talking about Chris Evans. Well, what's your thoughts on First Adventure? I know you love this film. I mean, I was surprised you put
Yeah.
this in number 10 last week in the top 10, and so I'm
Right.
curious. Let's kind of discuss that more in depth. Well, take me through your love of this film.
Yeah. Well, I think I've talked about this a few times now on the podcast, but
Yeah,
um, it's just like such a unique entry into the MCU. Like
yeah,
it really feels like it has its own like tone and style that's just so different from everything else, from like the stylized setting in the 1940s to just like the like old-timey dialogue. It's great. um, it just feels like there was like a very clear vision, and they made this like really campy 1940s superhero movie, and they just pulled it off really well. It's just a lot of fun. And then you got Chris Evans, you got Haley Atwell, you
yeah.
got like Hugo Weaving hamming it up as the Red Skull.
Oh my God,
It's
yes,
great. It's just so entertaining.
yeah. Yeah, um, yeah. This one was really strange. I think yeah, like it was 2011. I saw this, and it's kind of funny story. I miss like the first begin. I missed the beginning part of Captain America's Avenger when like because I mean the first shot is them in the modern day before we transition into World War Two.
Right.
Um, and I and so I fairly enjoyed the film. I never I I guess I never got to revisit the film. Like I think this was not like my favorite film of Phase One until I appreciate more with the sequels that came after it, and because like I was a big Iron Man fan, I like those films so much because made me into a Marvel fan, and then I liked Thor a lot because I thought he just fit, like he was like such a big and grand hero,
Mm-hmm.
and I really liked the first Thor film as we discussed before previously in another podcast, and yeah, this one was I don't know, it didn't click to me, but then I appreciate more what they were going for. I guess when we get into like the nitpicks and stuff like that, there was one thing I didn't like about this film was just they didn't try to move forward into like the history revision, like revision, like kind of like X-Men First Class, or the first Wonder Woman film. Like I kind of feel they could have done more, but I think the film is perfect. I really enjoyed this film. I really love the like homage of the classic 1940s serial
Mhm.
films
Yep.
that they were doing back in the day. I really like that attempt. I really like how um, this film especially really connects the MCU as a universe. Like it was very cool to revisit and you see like the younger Stark the year before Iron Man 2. Like we were like in 2010 we saw Howard Stark
Hmm.
for the first time, and then the next year you see him again as this young person, and like I was like, oh my god, that's Howard Stark, and then the Stark Expo, of course.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I really appreciate the and then I mentioned the opening uh, when we transitioned to World War II. It was very cool when Red Skull and Hydra were I think taking out one of the villages that were in German.
Yep.
You or
It's in Norway, actually.
Norway, yes, thank you for correcting me that because um they were in Norway and you see like was it the tree of life or um that
Yeah, Yggdrasil.
exactly that hold the tesseract, and like that was from Thor, and if you didn't see the first Thor, that was a cool connection to that, and then the cosmic view as well from the first film, the first Thor film.
It's
um
actually the same town in Norway that New Asgard like settles
uh-huh.
in Infinity War and Endgame.
Oh yes. Oh, that's a good point. Oh, so it's the same area. Oh,
It's the exact same town, yeah.
oh my God,
And I
that's
think it's also the same town uh, in the opening of Thor, where
mhm.
the Asgardians fight the Jotuns.
uh
Um,
the Fresh Giants.
yeah,
Or okay,
yeah. Um, like in the opening scene, where like Odin's father is fighting the frost giants. I think that's there as
okay.
well.
Oh, that's very nice connection. Yeah, and I think um because like we mentioned before from the last podcast, and then in Captain America the 80th anniversary talk that um I mean because I I didn't appreciate Captain America until Winter Soldier, and so when I got to see Winter Soldier and Civil War, those films made me appreciate more of First Avenger. I think First Avenger is a really great, um, just a great origin story, but a great character development for Captain America. I feel like they really nail Captain America as a character, and um, I appreciate more about this film. Uh, uh, in repeating viewing, and I think it's one of the best films cinematographically, the best score of the MCU films. I think it has probably um, the best cast here that are like just like their counterparts. Like I like the casting Dum Dum Dugan, and
Yes.
yes, I love him as well. Stanley Tucci as what's
Erskine.
Erskine, yeah, and he's great as well. And of course, I really love Dominic Cooper as the younger version of Howard Stark. I think he
Yeah.
really captured that character. And Tommy Lee Jones, I really like Tommy Lee Jones in this film. I love his line. I'm not gonna kiss you. And towards the end of the film,
Right.
I think he really was great in this film, and oh man, and of course Hugo Weaving is great as Reskull, uh, and and Haley Atwell is great as Peggy Carter, one of the best love interests in the MCU, I think. Um, well developed, and of course we Sebastian Stan as Bucky, he's great in this film. I really enjoy um, Bucky and Cat's relationship. I guess my question is, do you think they did enough to develop their friendship so like we can appreciate them? Like, what's
Um,
your opinion on that, Will?
I think they could have done more, but I
Mhm.
think Winter Soldier has like some flashbacks that kind of flesh it out
Hmm.
and make it a
Okay.
little stronger.
Okay. Um, okay. Um, I think I think they have chemistry, and I think they do at least enough you can understand their relationship more, and at least they're consistent throughout the films.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. I guess there's a lot to talk about this film. I I guess the first thing we think about Joe Johnston as the director for this film. Um, because in phase one we got like the high profile directors. We got Kenneth Branagh was like the big one they got for for Thor, and then this one we got Joe Johnston who did Jurassic Park 3 and Jumanji, the 1995 film.
Mhm.
And we think about his effort for this film.
Yeah, well, like I said before, like um, I really think he brought like a distinct visual style to the film,
Hmm.
which like up like the first like few Iron Mans or the first couple Iron Mans in Thor, it looks like kind of similar, especially the Earth scenes in Thor looked like they were like the same as Iron Man.
Yeah.
So it was nice to have something different before we like reverted back to the normal look for the Avengers. Um, yeah, I like the stylized 1940s thing that he set up
Yes.
that like continued into the Agent Carter TV show,
Hmm.
and that's included in like any like flashbacks or scenes that are set in the past in the future movies. Um, it's it's just really fun. I like it.
Um, and also Agent Shield as well. They did a good job of keeping that style as
Yes.
well. And so,
Yeah. Have you seen all of Agents of Shield?
uh, I need to like watch the whole series. I just saw like the first half of season one.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. It
um,
it gets better after that.
yeah, I really want to get into that because like especially with season four with the
Yeah.
pods. And
Yeah.
so
Season four is probably the best season.
yeah, so I'm really excited for that. Um, but I think yeah, all seven seasons are in Disney Plus, so I'm probably able to watch it. And like,
Oh, did they finally add it to Disney Plus? For some reason, I thought it was on Netflix
um,
right now, but
I think it's still on Netflix. I I
I haven't looked in a while.
yeah, I can tell you, maybe in the text or like in a
Uh,
call.
I looked it up. Just it looks like it's on Disney Plus now.
Okay. Um,
Yeah,
I'm just
cool.
looking at TV shows. So yeah, it's here somewhere. I see Agent Carter here, so
Yeah,
um, yeah, yeah, and I think they did a good job of I feel like this movie was like it really affected the MCU, and like we will always come back to the universe of Captain America. Um, and I guess another thing I like about the first Avenger, it takes us time to really get to know the character of Captain America as Steve Rogers, and I really like his like motivation that he wants. Like I like how he wants to help out the war because he wants he like he thinks he needs to do what is right as as a as a person in the U.S. right,
right.
and I like how we set up the like I think he's the only one with like a no kill rule than anyone else. Like he has
Oh
like
no, he definitely kills people.
yeah, like I mean I'm saying like I like how we balance that like in Batman Begins sorry I'm reading back Begins but like Christian Bale's version like he did kill he does kill but like he say um he doesn't do anything that is gruesome or like he like his word to Rachel is like okay, I'm not gonna kill you, but I won't save you. I feel like Captain America does that as well. Like he doesn't like a bully, but like he doesn't want to kill a bully as well.
Yeah, he doesn't
Like
he doesn't go in like planning on killing people,
yeah, that's
but
what I'm saying. Yeah,
he's definitely just like shooting people during that montage. It's not like he's not killing people. Or like at the end of the movie, he does hurl that one Hydra agent into the propeller of a plane.
Oh my god, that was gruesome. I remember watching that. I was like, whoa.
Bucky does that to someone in Winter Soldier too.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, oh my god, that's interesting because yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh well, I mean, yeah, that one's also brutal too. But like, you didn't see the blood, like,
Yeah, it wasn't just like a
yeah,
person and then a cloud of red the next second.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was very gruesome. But yeah, I guess, uh, I mean, because it's interesting to look at phase one because we have some films that were like origin stories, and then there were some that didn't um do an origin story. So like the Incredible Hulk and Thor were not like origin stories. They were mostly um hero's journey for the characters
Right,
to discover they're like they're the hero, right?
right.
And then the first Iron Man movie and this are pretty much traditional origin story. What do you think this movie does well as an origin story? Well, what do you think they did right? And then you can also bring up what stuff they didn't do right as an origin story.
Yeah. I think spending time with Steve before he got powers was a good
Mm,
move, and I think
yeah.
having uh, Erskine,
Uh-huh.
um, which is that's such a good character. Um,
Oh my God. Yes.
but their like interactions and Erskine's like rationale for why he chose Steve, I think they did that really well.
Yep.
Um, and just like letting you understand why Steve was like exceptional and why it had to be him and not the other people that were
Yeah.
in the Project Rebirth program.
Yes.
But um, I think that, like we said, they could have developed his relationship with Bucky a little more since they were going to make that. I guess they might not have known that they were going to make that like central to the plot of the series at that point, but
Yeah.
still could have been better.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, some of the dialogue, I know I like praised it before because it's like old timey and fun,
Yeah.
but it's a little cliche.
Interesting.
Like, like what? Or just like the scene where he's in the theater and the guy's like yelling at the movie screen. It's very like
Yeah.
cartoony. Like, like I like it because that's like the style of the movie. But then if you put it in context of like the rest of the MCU, it feels very unnatural and weird.
Yeah. I agree. And then another one that's like a weak point is like what was it, like getting Peggy jealous of Captain America because like the blonde that is Natalie Dormer from Game of
Yep.
Thrones,
Mm-hmm.
and like he kissed Chris Evans, and like Peggy, like it's one of those things like you see a girlfriend, like a girlfriend sees a boyfriend, kissing this person that's probably a friend or something like that, and she starts this jealous plot thing, right? And I never liked that in the first Avenger. I felt like that was so unnecessary, to
Yeah.
um, I feel like that was just, but I did like the gag of her shooting, him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good scene, but like, I don't know. I feel like that part of the girl kissing him and then Peggy, like, seeing him being with that girl is like, ugh, so unnecessary. Um, then what else? I guess, uh, I guess we kind of get into nitpicks. What do you think about, I guess the way we get Captain America into the ice? Because that's something that bothers me about this film is how contrived they did it, and like I don't know why they did that. Like,
Yeah.
like, because for me the third act is where it's the weakest, but like it's all because of the ice thing.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, I think they didn't need to make it him like steering it into the ocean. I
Yeah.
think they could have just made it so like the plane crashed.
Um, or for me, like just like in the comics or in animation, like maybe Red Skull set up like a detonation in that plane, and like Cap needs to jump out of it, and then that's how he gets frozen because he had to jump in, but then the explosion knocked him out, and like he falls into the water and he's like in deep freeze. I feel like that was the best option, because that's how they did it. That's how they like usually do with Captain America in the comics and in animation. Um, but I mean, hey, I mean, um, they had to do something with Captain America pointing the ice. um, okay, so we kind of get rid of the nitpicks, which I mean, if you look at this film was pretty much like perfect compared to Thor. And I guess like I don't know if you've seen the box office. I mean, this movie did well. I mean, it did over 370.6 billion. But it is technically the second lowest after The Incredible Hulk. And I have a question: why do you think this movie didn't do as big as like the first Thor film by any chance? Um,
Yeah, I'm not sure why it didn't do as well as Thor. Maybe it was like the international numbers.
mm,
Uh,
that's true.
you know, like I don't know how many people outside of America before this movie came out or before the Avengers came out that like I don't know if they would be super psyched to see a movie called Captain America, you know,
Yeah.
because
Um,
it sounds like it's going to be just like an endless parade of American propaganda.
mm,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I think like we talked about this when we talked about Captain America, the character, a few
Uh,
weeks ago, but he's not really like just a stand-in for the U.S. government. He's like his
yeah.
own character, um, but you don't really know that right away.
Yeah.
Um, you just assume that he's going to be like just a walking American flag because that's what he looks like, and that's what
Yeah.
his name suggests. So
Yeah. That's true. It's great. I think 'cause, like this and the Avengers didn't give you who Captain America as a superhero is, you know, and like here and the Avengers is pretty much playing the safe route of Captain America. Like he's the leader. He's does really great speeches and like um, he's trying to fight the common good, until we get to Winter Soldier, where it becomes more of a gray area, and like it's interesting to see how Captain America handles that, and that's where I think people became more, um, um, uh, how you say it, gravitate the character more
yeah,
because of
yeah,
those elements.
yeah. I think he's more interesting when his like very black and white morality uh, is faced with like something that's a little more challenging.
Yeah. And also like I like how Winter Soldier mentioned like he did do some like very unethical choices as well. So like to stop the evil, right? I don't know what theories say like uh the best generation line that he says to Captain America in the bunker when he shows him Project Unsight.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. And he say, yeah, it was for necessary to sleep better and something like that. Um, uh, um, yeah. And then also another thing, I was listening to one. It was like a long time ago, but like listen to one podcast to someone that was talking about this film. He mentioned the marketing. I feel like the marketing was kind of confusing for some people. Like with Thor, you kind of got an idea what Thor was. Like it looked very Shakespearean. It looked grander. Well, I mean grander from the posters and the trailers, right? Before you see the actual film. So like that, it did its job to attract you to the film, right? with the marketing of First Avenger, um, it like I mean, you look at the first poster of Captain America, or like, and then the preceding ones, like it felt like a dark, greedy war film, but which it wasn't, and I feel like that confused people when they saw the film. I feel like there's one picture of like Captain America and just Chris Evans without the mask, and like he has the shield, and like he's looking down like a Batman pose, and like
Yeah,
in the
it's a good
background,
poster.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's a good poster, and it's
it
dark.
looks cool, but it doesn't really match the tone of the movie.
Exactly. And I feel like the marketing didn't convey what kind of film it was. Like it's more like Rocketeer, uh, for like it's like the 1940s Rocketeer kind of film, and I feel like it. So I feel like that was another factor of why it didn't do as big. Um, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it did well, and that's I mean, this film did well to make people like Captain America. That's one of the things I like about the Marvel Studios films, is that they're trying to make people like these characters instead of, and I feel like that's something that Warner Brothers and X-Men and like Sony are missing. It's like they're focusing on too much on the box office and not thinking about the audience caring for these characters, and that's
Yeah,
something I think the MCU does well.
yeah, I agree. Um,
Yeah.
there's a focus more on like developing characters, and the like spectacle is kind of secondary to that.
Yeah.
Which is why I've always preferred like Marvel to DC, because I feel like it's
Mm.
the same in their comics. Marvel will focus more on like the characters, and DC focuses more on like big superhero spectacles. Not always. Like there's
Yeah.
examples of the opposite happening, but I think by and large that's like the difference between the two companies.
No. No. I agree. I think you hit the nail with that. Um. Uh. I yeah. It's very weird in this stream. And also like um. I feel like sometimes like DC like trying to present itself as like they're gods, and then with Marvel it's like they're like the related people of the world, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And so
Uh, I don't
yeah.
know where this originated from, but like DC is about gods learning to become men, and Marvel is about men learning to live with the power of a god.
That's true. That's a good one. Yeah, that's perfect. Summary for both companies. Um, and I also want to talk about the title. Do you like Captain America: First Avenger? Do you like that title?
No, I think they just really wanted to tie it into the first Avengers movie.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. That was weird for this film. That was the big one. I remember when this film was coming out, like a lot of people were talking. Like I was talking to my friends. That was always the big thing about it. Was First Adventure. Did you think this film did a good job of handling the connections of the MCU and like expanding the universe? Like, um,
yeah, I don't
okay.
think they like. I think the story itself is standalone, which I think
Mm,
serves it. But then it also sets up like Hydra and like that
yes.
entire world in the 1940s that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I think it like sets things up that paid off later, um, while still being its own like
Old thing.
self-contained story.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. And also like Peggy's journey as a character, and Shield as well. Like they're here. I mean, they're not called Shield. They're like the SSR. Um, uh, what is that for? Scientific and or something. Oh, Statistic Scientific Reserve. That's what it's called.
Right.
And like that's like if you didn't know about Shield, that's like the early imprint of Shield, and like it's kind of cool we have that here right away. And speaking of Hydra and how you place Red Skull and Hydra in this film in terms of the MCU films?
I think I really like Hydra as like a force in the MCU,
Okay.
and I hope they use them more later. I liked them in Agents of Shield too.
Mm.
Um,
Um, I have a question.
but yeah,
Um, I I do keep up. I still stay in touch with Indian Shields, and the one thing I didn't like what they did with Hydra was the whole Inhumans connection. In was it
okay,
in season 2 or 3 that like they revealed
yeah,
that I I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. I just feel like that was going too
I
far.
I like it. Uh,
Okay,
the way that they explain it is that's not like all of Hydra. It's just like
okay.
there's one branch of Hydra where like that's their mission, and it
Oh,
has been
okay,
for a while. Um,
okay,
yeah, they like predate the Red Skull, um, but it's just like one branch. You know, like they cut off one head and two more shall take its place. It's just one of the
okay,
heads.
okay. No, no, no.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes
and
sense. No, no.
after Hydra is like kind of destroyed in Winter Soldier and like other seasons of Agents of Shield, that's like the most prominent ones. That's the one that they're
Hmm,
fighting, but
okay,
it's not like they're not like retconning all of Hydra's existence to be about that one thing.
okay, okay. Thank you, because
Yeah.
that I when she was on, I heard of that and I was like, oh, really? Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Um, and Red Skull, what do you think about him here? And is he your like favorite MCU villain, and how you rank him? Because I'm
Uh, yeah, definitely not my favorite because that would go to Loki. Uh,
Killmonger
yeah,
maybe.
definitely Loki. I
Okay,
like Vulture. Um, Killmonger was good.
yeah.
Yeah, but Red Skull's good. I think he would rank higher if Hugo Weaving had wanted to come back and they had used him more. Um,
Yes,
I
that's true.
think there's a lot of potential in this movie, and then Hugo Weaving left, and it just kind of like the character shows up again, but it's not
I mean,
satisfying. He's not like the
no,
same. It's literally not the same because it's a different actor. But
yeah. Well, that's the bottom. It's kind of like an end game for me. Like when Captain America goes back, and like I'm like, wait a minute,
just
like
hence the soul stunt.
yeah, like I, I'm like, wait, why we didn't get a scene like his reaction to like Resco? I was like, oh my god, Resco is here. I, 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 I don't know. Yeah, I agree. I I put up like this old list that I made like a while ago, and I'm gonna post this in the YouTube channel from Over Plus. I put Resco at number 9. So
Okay.
he's like 10 is Ironmonger, and then above Resco is Hela. I feel like
Okay.
for me, I think Resco is the like him and Loki in 2011 were the perfect like comic villain adaptation. They got the costumes accurate. I feel like their connection with the hero is makes sense. I kind of like how Red Skull connects to Captain America in a good way, not like personal, but like more um like kind of like in this film, it's like he's like the polar opposite of Steve, where he took away the prototype super soldier from Epstein, and like he like instead of getting like he got super strength, but like he became this hideous version of himself. I really like that, and and I kind of like how I say like Red Skull is like the big bully, uh one of the worst person in Earth, and like he's like the biggest bully ever. Where like Captain America is like the best friend you want, and like he's like the purest human, despite of the flaws he has, he's still a good person. As
Mm-hmm.
Estic has like he always repeatedly say a good man, and I feel like that's something Cap represent, and where
Yeah.
Resco is the bad man basically. I think this film does a really good job with the hero villain relationship. It's just the way he gets taken out is like the weakest villain takeout. I feel like.
Mm.
that drops him completely. Like I don't like how like it's because like he holds the cube and there was like potential there, but because you know the actor didn't came back and that plot line just lingered way too long, and like when we got it, it was like, oh, okay, like I was surprised about it, but then it was like, oh, okay. I just um it's a good it's a good it's one of the best hero villain relationship in the MCU after Thor and Loki, but like unlike Loki where Loki continued on with the MCU, I feel like it was a misstep not to continue with the Red Skull. I feel like
Yeah,
um,
I agree.
um yeah, so I think Red Skull is the good villain here. I just wish they took inspiration with Loki and Red Skull as the blueprint for moving forward with the villains,
Mm.
because afterwards it's like they don't. I mean,
Yeah, phase two was kind of
yeah. Um,
forgettable.
oh my god, the villains are
Yeah,
forgettable. I
yeah.
well, it's interesting if we ever do a ranking of the NC villains. My problem, like I like was it Killian in Iron Man 3. I think there was potential with his character.
Mhm.
In AIM, Hydra is great in Winter Soldier. I feel like they're the best villains in Phase Two, from in my opinion. Um, and then Age of Ultron, I think he was a good villain, but for me, it was like it. The concept of him were great. It was just the execution was really bad in Age of Ultron,
Yeah,
and it,
I'm still
yeah,
like I'm a Hank Pym fan,
mm,
so I'm really mad that they gave all of his best storylines to Tony Stark.
I know, and
So yeah, the
yeah,
movie never really sat well with me.
yeah, that's yeah, that's the weirdest thing they did. Like it came after Age of Ultron, and and that's such an awkward. Oh my god! But they kind of did that with Anna Warlock, because Anna Warlock, another Marvel hero, that like he had an Infinity Gem, but then they gave it to Vision. So like, I mean, they're changing a lot in the comics, and I feel like that's, I mean, the norm, unfortunately,
Yeah.
of
Oh,
this adaptations. But hey, what are you gonna do? Um, okay, so we mentioned Red Skull. I guess to wrap the things up, is there anything else we have to say about this film? Do you want to talk about the Peggy Carter and Cap relationship?
yeah. I think that's like probably the most believable romance in the MCU.
Hmm.
Um, that and Tony and Pepper probably.
Yeah,
But
and
uh, yeah, I mean the two actors have great chemistry. Um, Peggy's like a great character in her own right. Um, so yeah, I think that was really well done,
yeah, um,
especially in this movie.
yeah, in this movie too. Yeah, I think they did a good job of making her proactive, and like
Hmm.
she was like important in the plot. Like, excuse me, she was like part of the team of Captain America, and I feel like that's something that some of the, like a lot of the superhero films failed to do. Like the X-Men has like probably the best female superheroes in Marvel. Like those are my personal favorite, and they fail to really give those female characters something to do or be integral to the plot. And then
Hmm.
um and with the MCU, they I think they do a good job of casting them, and like it's kind of like 8 out of 10. They do it right. Um, it, there's some that I don't care about, and
Yeah.
there's some and there and there's some that is really weird. Like I don't know, like I'm really weird with Doctor Strange films. Like
Mm-hmm.
he has a female, hero called Clea, but then they have this character, Christine, and like I don't like understand why they're using her. Like the fact that many fans want Clea in these films. Like um
Yeah.
like I my biggest problem with the MCU is they're trying too hard to like I don't like when they just step away with comic books. Like I didn't like the whole Hulk and the Tasha relationship, because I like Betty and Hulk's relationship, and
Right.
I never felt like, I feel like that's going too far. And I think here, I think they did a good job of reinventing Peggy as a character, and I feel like this is the definitive version of Peggy. I feel like they did a good job with this character, and moving forward with the character as well in the MCU. Um, um, yeah, and then and yeah, I think this is number one for me in terms of relation. It's very um realistic and healthy compared to other ones in the MCU, especially. I mean, compared to this to like Jane and Thor is like
Yeah.
miles better than those. Is there anything else we had to talk about to mention? Do you like the post credit scene? I guess in this film. Um,
Yeah, it's it's a classic.
uh,
Uh,
I will say that was yeah, this one was my favorite. I'm a Phase One. Uh, the first one, not the second one with the Avengers trailer.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, the first one was really powerful and dark
hmm
for like Rogers waking up in this hospital room, and then he grows suspicious, and then find himself in present day, and then Fury informs him about his suspension of 70 years in ice.
right.
So it's a good iconic. It's a very iconic post credit scene. Um, that made me excited for the Avengers. Actually, like, oh my god,
Yeah.
we're here. Yeah, yeah. Anything else we have to talk about? Will, is that all I could say? Um,
Yeah, I think I'm good.
okay. So, yeah, this is a great film. I really like it. I think it's one of the best origin stories. It's definitely third for me after Guardians and Iron Man. I think it really delivers as a superhero film. And oh, and I guess I mentioned like uh the revised history. That's what I was
Hmm.
talking about. I feel like they could have done more of that, but like I don't know how you can do it, like because like First Class they used the Cuban Missile Crisis as like the finale, which was very cool,
Hmm.
and No Man's Land from Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I feel like they needed something like that in First Adventure. You think like you think they should have done more with the revised history, Will?
Yeah,
For
I think they would have had trouble because they made Hydra like so separate from the Nazis,
yeah,
you know. Uh, so it'd be hard to tie into like actual World War II stuff, since like after the point where Hydra splits from the Nazis, everything that they're doing is completely separate.
mm,
Um, I
makes
did
sense.
like that they had Captain America go on that USO tour.
Yes, we didn't talk about that. That's true.
Yeah,
Um,
uh,
yeah, that was a good one. I like that one.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
it was a good homage to his role as like a propaganda piece in real life. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's true. I like how he was wearing his comic accurate costume. That was
yeah,
and that was a neat thing.
uh,
Um, yeah, I like that too. Um, yeah, it just it made sense, like why he was gonna have that job, and like I kind of like that like he was not like why are we going to the war, and so I kind of like how we set up how he became the Captain America, fighting in the war. So that's cool. Yeah, and you saw that like in Spider-Man Homecoming, he still does that like Parmigiana thing, with
yeah,
so I love we continue with that even after he came back from the ice. So that's funny. Um, yeah. Oh, and what was weird about this film? There's like a couple of cameos or like actors I recognize here.
yep,
The dates that Cap and Bucky goes to. One of them is Jenny Coleman from Doctor Who.
yep,
She's here. Claire Oswald. I was like, oh my gosh, she's in this film. I totally didn't recognize her.
yeah,
And then I think Star Lord's mom is
yep,
here as well, and she's the one that asked Captain America for Agarath, I think.
yeah,
So very interesting. Uh, so there's a couple of people you recognize. Then, of course, we mentioned the Game of Thrones actress, Nellie Dorm. Um, so yeah.
And
Okay.
I know James Gunn has like joked about the actress that plays Quill's mom
Yes.
playing his grandmother in this movie.
Yes.
And
Oh my.
then there's a similar thing where the actor that plays Jim Morita, one of the Howling Commandos, plays the principal in Spider-Man:
Yes.
Homecoming, and he has a picture of his grandfather, who is Jim Morita,
Humor.
in his
Yes.
office. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff with that, and like the different time periods and different
Yes.
actors playing, or the same actor playing different characters.
Yes. That's true. Yeah. This one and Iron Man 2 has the best like fun like connections in the MCU, which I like. Yeah, and it's really great. It just shows how like special the MCU is when they do that. So I like that. So that's cool. I totally forgot about that one. That one I remember that was a big deal when Homecoming was coming out.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Well, so anything else you want to discuss? I think we covered everything well with this film.
yeah. So,
Okay. All right. So for next week's topic, what do you think you want to discuss?
yeah.
Uh,
Do you want to talk about the first Blade movie?
oh, that's a good one. Okay. Yes, we should do that. All right. That's good. I love that. Yeah, I love the first Blade film. That's another one that I really like. Um, all right. Let's do that. Thank you, Will,
Yeah,
for
thank you.
yeah. Thank you for coming to this podcast. Well, folks, as you hear before, Will has picked our next discussion, and that will be Blade. So me and Will will be back on Sunday to discuss that very classic horror film. Have a good day, folks. Oh my God, say good night.